Alright, quick update on Solana. So we're having an okay bounce today. You can see we're up approximately 5% on the day. If we do zoom out to a more macro perspective, you can see we're coming right down to where we previously triple bottomed. So in the macro perspective, it's really not the best thing that you've had a triple bottom. This was a perfect structure, had a huge impulse up, and then we're right back down to this triple bottom range. In the previous videos we talked about how you've got this, once again, another perfect triple bottom structure down here, followed by a big rally. And obviously this time, Bitcoin is carrying everything down, so it's to be expected. I guess it was maybe a little bit of hopium to expect it to play out the exact same as it previously did. But yeah, nonetheless, we're having a slight rally today. If we look at Sol BTC, because this was down quite harshly from yesterday, we're still kind of traveling in limbo between your 618 fib and your 0.5 fib. Really, you'd want to see Solana get some continuation pump. Otherwise, against Bitcoin, we are probably going to have a breakdown and move down to some lower levels. So, if that could maybe mean that if Bitcoin's going to move down another 5% or so, Solana could come down another 20 or so. It does look like we are having a bearish move to the downside. Obviously, we've retested your 200-day, retested your daily EMA ribbons on the Sol BTC pair, and you've started to come down pretty harshly, to be honest. Like this most recent impulse we had right into your EMA ribbons rejection, and we're kind of rolling down at this moment of recording. Not a lot of volume for either way, to be honest. In fact, there was a okay amount of volume during this last bounce, but I guess that's to be expected after it's dropped pretty harshly. So I mean, in the macro term, Solana against BTC is still very bullish. Bear in mind we're above this 618 Fibonacci here. So I don't think there's anything necessarily to worry about at this moment in time. I'd also like to point out, even though it's a Solana video, but if we zoom into the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curves, today, when we came down, had a correction, we were down here at 37,400. If you look at the last fib before the lower deviation, down here you can see the lower fib, the fib 0902, is coming in at 37,400. So we literally touched this lower bound of these fibs. There's quite a lot of fibs within these logarithmic growth curves, and we came down to the absolute lowest fib. So worst comes to worst, Bitcoin moves to one deviation oversold, which is a move down to 32,000, and then I imagine there would be a strong bottom, as there previously always has been on these logarithmic growth curves. So what does that mean for Solana if Bitcoin comes down a little bit more and then has a bottom? Well, it could mean that the start of Solana summer might be a little bit shaky, and we might need a little bit of extra time to get out of here. Obviously, if we look at what's going on today, you can appreciate that we've had a bounce, but do bear in mind the drop that we had yesterday was a very big bearish engulfing candle. Also, the news of the Solana blockchain going down, I think it was out for like 8 hours or so. So there's a plethora of different reasons why Solana's being a little bit shaky right now. Honestly, I'm a huge Solana bull. All of you who watch my channel for more than a couple of weeks or so probably know that I'm a huge Solana bull anyway, but at least in the short term, looking at this objectively, it doesn't necessarily look the best, because we've come back down. Once again, we've now put in a quadruple bottom, so we absolutely need to get out of here. Like I say in all of my videos, quadruple bottom just does not sound very bullish. The triple bottom was absolutely perfect. You zoom out, you can see recently we got rejected off this 618 fib. So if we look at our oscillators to give a somewhat bullish perspective though, looking at your money flow indicator and the relative strength index, they've both come down to pretty much extremely oversold within the past month or so. Not even in the past month, within literally the past 4 weeks, the money flow indicator pretty much bottomed. And yeah, literally like a day or so ago, the RSI bottomed down here at 33, almost in extremely oversold. So I do think the bottom is very near for Solana. I'm personally not looking to accumulate any more Solana at this moment in time. Perhaps I'm somewhat biased to that effect, because I do already have a ton of Solana. I have my Solana staked. I have a bunch of Solana NFTs, so I'm already pretty deep in the Solana ecosystem, to be honest. So I'm not necessarily looking to buy at these prices. If we do come down to lower prices, I definitely would. But yeah, in the short term, bear in mind, you know, the 4 hour, you've got this bearish EMA flip that we're currently underneath. On the daily, you know, you're miles away from your EMAs. Your EMAs are dropping like a rock from $100 on the daily. On the 1 hour, I mean, you can see the lower the time frame, the more bullish it should be after a bounce, but you know, you can see we're really struggling right now. You could argue we're putting in something like an inverse head and shoulders, and I do think a lot of these moves that we're seeing in the altcoin market today are dead cat bounces. We definitely need to see continuation coming in tomorrow, but nonetheless, I do remain very bullish on Solana. I do think we just need to look at the chart and maybe sit on the sidelines until a bullish bottom plays out, just like we were sitting on the sidelines throughout this whole phase. You know, when I started my crypto channel in it was mid to late January, we were sitting on the sidelines while Solana was all the way up here at 127, and we kind of waited while it was bouncing. It, you know, it bounced all the way up to 122, and a lot of people got bullish here, and we were waiting for the retest of 112. If you're an OG of my channel, you know you've heard me talk about the 112 level at the 618 fib multiple times, and we only really got bullish and started accumulating lots of Solana once we did this nice triple bottom, which is very similar to what happened down here. But you know what we're seeing right now, we've had a breakdown, you're flipping all your EMA ribbons. On the daily, this channel that we've broken to the downside of, we've come back to it, and we haven't been able to break above it yet. You can also see your 786 fib, this is a very important level. If we come down to the lower time frames, being completely conservative, I would say Solana needs to get above at least $95 before we can be bullish in the short term, and then even then I would want to wait and see how the markets react to the Fed meeting. I think a lot of cryptos are going to have their bottoming patterns playing out in the next few days, Solana included, but like I've been saying in my altcoin videos, the Fed meeting is between the 2nd and the 3rd. We should, or is it, no, it's between the 3rd and the 4th, sorry, so we should have a wrap up of it on the 4th within the next 3 or 4 days or so. So I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines for Solana. Bear in mind I am somewhat biased because I already do hold a bunch of Solana. But yeah, I mean, the higher time frames, looking at your oscillators, we really do look like we are very, very close to a bottom. On your much higher time frames coming into the weekly, you know, your money flow indicator recently got absolutely washed out, and everything is very oversold at this moment for Solana. So I do think it's probably about time Solana started gearing up and having that move to the upside. I definitely wouldn't be betting against Solana to have a nice move to the upside in the coming days also. So Solana BTC, it still looks very bullish even though we're having a temporary breakdown. I wouldn't be surprised if we got flushed out a little bit more, but you know, macro term, we're above all of the trend lines we would really need to be above, so I don't have any problem there. Once again, your Bitcoin logarithmic growth curves are at the absolute low, so I mean, we can move down lower, which is why I'm saying I would be sitting on the sidelines in case, you know, perhaps we do have a move down to somewhere crazy like $55, which I don't think we would, but I feel like I already own a good amount of Solana, so for my portfolio at least, it makes sense to hedge my bets to the downside in case we do move that way. But you know, like I said, if we look at these Bitcoin logarithmic growth curves, I really don't think it's the right time to be selling crypto when you're moving down into these oversold regions. So I'm going to be picking up some Solana, hopefully within the next coming days or weeks. I'm going to wait for the end of the Fed meeting. If the markets do react nicely to it, I would definitely consider picking up some Sol. So that's all I've got for Solana today. As always, none of this is financial advice, just my opinion on the market, and as always, cowboy out. Peace.